Hello, everybody, and welcome, Michael. Michael and I were just having a giggle before we hit record now, just saying, oh my goodness, here we are. You know, we set out a year ago to do these 40 podcast sessions on the Bhagavad Gita, and here we are for our final conclusionary wrap up. Oh my goodness, how much we've all learned along the way.
Time flies when you're having fun, Jackie. Although sometimes it's when I sort of bogged down a bit in it, it didn't seem like too much fun. But anyway, well, it's a final hello to you, Jackie, in this regard, in regards to the podcast, of course. And a final hello to all our listeners. So I've been saying hello, of course, and as you have, over 40 podcasts. But as you just said, this is our last one. So a final hello. And then at the end of it, I'll be saying goodbye. Final. Well, we haven't had any other goodbyes, but it'll be a final one this time. Yeah, well, I'll just mention a couple of things that you've mentioned, Jackie. Summing up a bit how I've sort of seen these 40 weeks. So we began 40 weeks ago with an introductory podcast, and we're finishing now with a concluding podcast. And in between, we've had 38 teaching podcasts on the entire teachings of the Bhagavad Gita. So we began 40 weeks ago with an introductory podcast to start us off on a brief insight into the brilliant, truthful teachings of Lord Sri Krishna to his friend and eventual faithful devotee Arjuna, as recounted in the timeless teachings in the Bhagavad Gita. And now, 40 years later, we finish with this concluding podcast.
40 weeks. You said 40 years.
Oh, there's a Freudian slip for you.
Did it feel that long?
Sometimes it did have a feeling of eternity to it, Jackie and listeners. Oh goodness, that's terrible, Blue. 40 weeks. I'm sure everyone picked up on it, Jackie, other than me. I'm just blissfully prattling on here.
At least we can laugh about it. I mean, it has been some journey. When I looked in the mirror today, I'm like, my goodness, I'm pretty sure I started off with black hair. I mean, everyone's been watching me transition to grey, let alone other more recent dramatic news. I mean, it's been a big project. It's been a big period of time that's encompassed a lot.
I did much the same when I was looking in the mirror this morning. I thought I started off with no hair and I'm basically finishing with no hair. So just slightly different. But no, so anyway, you made some comments there, but anything you'd like to add on to that little summary I made there?
No, it's all lovely. You keep going. I'm sure I'll have little moments here and there.
Well, I'm just going to indulge myself now, Jackie, for about 5 minutes, listeners. Still referring to the Gita, but not in the sense of teaching. We finished all the teachings, everyone knows, in the Gita last week. Although having said that, I am picking up my little Gita here, and I'm just going to revisit the last two shlokas. They're my favourite two shlokas in the Gita. Yeah. 700, I love them all, but the last two have particular stronger meaning for me. And it'll be a lovely revision, and I'm sure all our listeners will enjoy it too, Jackie. So indulge with me and everyone with the last two shlokas, 72 and 73 of the Bhagavad Gita. This is where Krishna says to Arjuna, he says, "O Arjuna, hast thou listened attentively to my words? And has thy ignorance and thy delusion gone?" That's us, Arjuna, we're asking. And Arjuna replies, "My Lord, the immutable one, my delusion has fled, and by thy grace, O changeless one, the light has dawned. My doubts are gone, and I stand before thee, ready to do thy will." They're beautiful, powerful words, aren't they, Jackie? This is what you've all been doing before you started. Anyone on the journey was doing before they started on their podcasts. Hopefully these 40 podcasts have helped more greater understanding, more clarity on it all. And in the end, you'll stand there and you'll say those words to yourself and to the Lord, and that'll be the point of union. So they're beautiful, powerful words. And the other little snippet I wanted to add in here, Jackie, for you and the listeners, and it's just the reason for doing that is just to reinforce how beautiful and precise this entire teachings of the Bhagavad Gita is. Right, so I was outlined in the introductory paragraph, and I gave a background and a history to the whole Gita, saying that there were 700 shlokas in the work, so that's sort of precise in itself. Those 700 shlokas were beautifully divided up into 18 chapters, of each having their individual topic, aspect of expertise and knowledge that needed to be learned separately. Brilliantly put together in that those 18 chapters were divided again into 3 groups of 6 and 6 and 6. So it sort of grouped those 18 chapters or teachings into 6 chapters on teachings about basically the human being, the mortal being. The second 6 chapters, everyone would have some memory of. We spent all these podcasts on it, describing our higher self, the higher self, and making more clarity that that's our higher self. It's not sort of us and up there somewhere. And then the last 6 chapters concluded and brought the first 2 6 lots of chapters together into bringing greater clarity on joining or uniting, merging that individual aspect into the universal aspect. And I just want to add in here one little snippet, which many people don't know, but I think it's very useful, just to give, as I say, this full stop of the perfectnesses of it. So in this 700 verses, Jackie and listeners, and 18 chapters, are thousands of words. And yet if you look at the Gita carefully, you'll see the first word, and then look at the last word, and I'm going to give those 2 words now in Sanskrit and their English translation to show how precise this teaching is, just from the very first word that's uttered and the very last word that's uttered. All right? And I'll just to sort of stay on track, I'll read what I've written here. And so now here I'm describing now the first word in the Gita. I'll start off with the last word. The last word is mama, meaning you. Mama, you. And the very first word is dharma, meaning essential being. So last word is mama, mama, meaning my. And the first word is dharma, meaning essential being. So when we join those 2 up together, the message in this entire teaching of the Bhagavad Gita is contained within these 2 words, Dharma Mama, my essential being, my supreme self. And that, of course, is our supreme self. So it's beautiful, isn't it? And just another little, you could sort of say a bit of trivia, but it's not trivial by any means. But just that's how precise it is. So encased in that book, cover to cover, is a whole description of my essential being Krishna's essential being, or Brahman's essential being, or God's universe essential being, doesn't matter what you call it, but that's also my essential being, our essential being. So it's beautiful. I just thought I'd add that in.
It is beautiful.
Anything you'd like to say there, Jackie?
No, just that it's touching and it's lovely. It's very nice to hear it in such a succinct way, and it just reminds us like a little drop of stillness, just that actual essence of what we're here to learn and practice and integrate.
You can use thousands of words in 700 verses in 18 chapters, but in essence you come to that. And the little quote, the 2 verses I read out from the Gita, where Krishna's asking, did you understand all my teaching, which is about my essential being? And he says, yes, I did. So in other words, he's understanding his essential being. Very lovely, isn't it?
Mm.
And so that's a total finish now of Gita mentions on my part. Been a beautiful episode, of course. I've thoroughly enjoyed that. But I'll mention that in the end. But before I switch over now to you, Jackie, I'll just leave you and the listeners with a lovely little snippet from one of the great spiritual philosophers, a bloke called Goethe, Goethe, which you'd never know was Goethe, but I knew a person of German, Austrian background, and he assured me that's how you pronounce his name. I used to go around saying it's Goethe. and it's actually Goethe. So if anyone wants to look it up, you're welcome. But this is a little sort of quote he put in into one of his works, where he's referring to commitment. And what he's talking about basically is, or in particular, is commitment to the truth. So, you know, people make lots of commitments in life, don't we, Jackie? We commit ourselves to a husband or wife, marriage. We commit ourselves to raising children. We commit ourselves to work and work colleagues, or our business, or we commit ourselves to any sporting or leisurely activities, you know, practice and go and play in teams, you know, with teams and things like that. So lots of commitments. But this one is particularly referring to the commitment for truth. And he says, when one commits to the truth, all doubts and hesitancy disappear from the being. Will I, or won't I, or should I, or shouldn't I, or all this sort of stuff. In any walks of life, all that starts to disappear when one commits to the truth. So he says, when one commits to the truth, all doubts and hesitancy disappear. And then he goes on to say, the floodgates of providence. That's like describing what people would know as the grace of God. The floodgates of providence open, and all manner of things will flow your way that you never could have imagined. Yeah. So, but you got to go at the top. You got to commit to the truth. Once you do that, all hesitancy and doubts in your whole life disappear. Then the more you commit, the floodgates, this grace of God, flows your way. Just think of a big dam and the floodgates opening and water pouring out. It's an endless stream of consciousness, pure truth, and it's there just to make our lives better and easier and more comfortable and more enjoyable and more fulfilling until we eventually taste that nectar of self-realization or enlightenment. So he says, the floodgates of providence open and all manner of things will flow your way that you never could have imagined. So I think that's a beautiful quote to leave everyone on. That it doesn't matter what teaching you're studying, whether it's Buddhism or Christianity or the Gita here from the East, or Hermes Trismegistus's great works, or anyone else. It's still got to be a commitment to it. And if you commit to that, under whatever heading it is, it's got to be truth. Commit to other things, well, you'll get, if your commitment's strong enough, you'll reap the rewards, happy marriage or financial success or whatever it might be, but you won't get this reward of the ultimate bliss that can only come through enlightenment. All right.
So very beautiful. It's so positive, isn't it? So
Yeah,
positive and
yeah,
uplifting and encouraging. And they're all the things we need as human beings to be reminded to keep committing, to recommit, to refresh our enthusiasm for the learnings and putting it into practice in an applied fashion.
And that, that's one that I've put in there particularly for that reason. During the course of the 40 podcasts, occasionally I've read out similar sort of things, to help or show to the listeners that there's many people saying these same things. That doesn't just have to be in the Gita. They're all in all what called the spiritual works or the great truthful works. So I've got anyway another couple of quotes here if we need to during the course of this session, Jackie, but I'll leave it at that for the moment and pass over to you, and you have a little say now.
Yes. I was thinking, I mean, you know my style. I don't prepare anything, unlike you. I'm not sure if that's a disappointment given your scholarly approach to life, but I just take a far more organic fashion and trust that as you speak and as we're here together, the right kind of things will come up in me. So I never worry that I won't have something to say or it won't be right. But it must have been playing on my mind a little bit, because last night when I woke up a few times through the night, and just the notion of, I think you recently quoted the saying of the truth shall set you free. And that just was quietly there in the sort of background of my mind, just repeating and going over and over and over. And I just found myself pondering that at sort of the very human level, thinking, okay, for people who don't really understand the depth of that statement, it's sort of like the truth alone, someone telling you the truth is not enough to set you free. But it got me thinking about, how do we learn the truth? How do we understand the truth? And then I started to sink into the deeper layers, that you have to understand it first. You have to have exposure to the truth. You have to be able to understand it on some sort of intellectual level. Like, you've got to be able to grasp it and make sense of it. And then, of course, it's no surprise to anybody listening, I'm always interested in the application of the truth, I suppose, because that's how I live it in my life. I learn it, I read it, I understand it, and then I'm like, okay, let's put that into practice at a time when I'm flaring or having an incorrect response, or I'm, sure that there's more capacity that I can bring out of me. I'm interested in applying that knowledge, that truth to everyday life so that I can gain some benefit from that. And then I was thinking that that in itself is still not enough. You can know and understand it, you can apply it, you might get glimpses of, success or deeper insight or alignment or whatever it might be in life. And that's fabulous, but it's still not really enough to set you truly free. And then just earlier today, I was reflecting on those moments when we have, moments of integration. You might call it moments of spiritual experience or moments of deep, true alignment and awareness. And just that reminder of the more we can enter those states, the more we can have those states, the more we can realize the truth of who we are and the truth of the universe, living and being in that state. That's the state that sets us free. That's the truth that's being referred to in that statement. So they're just my contemplations. I think that's really useful to break down because we're often curious as human beings, not just in understanding the beauty of the written works, but if we only read them and appreciate them on an intellectual level, that's not actually serving us very well. It has to be integrated. We have to have moments of integration. And then the more we have, we trust that the more will come, the more we live this kind of life, the more frequent those moments, the longer they'll last, the more we understand the depth of that teaching.
Yeah, well, beautifully put, very truthfully put. And those last line or two ties in again with Goethe's quote. You're saying I trust it, it'll keep happening and whatever. So that's this notion of the floodgates of providence open, and all manner of things will keep coming your way. No one has to hope, Jackie. No one has to wish or whatever. If you make that commitment, it's automatic. It's guaranteed. How many times did Krishna say to Arjuna, assuredly you will become one with me? Yeah. If you do this or you follow this or so on, assuredly. So it's guaranteed. We start off when we think in these early stages, oh, that was a fluke. Oh, that was a bit of good luck. Oh, what a coincidence that I bumped into so-and-so, or I found a parking spot, or I had 10 green lights in a row and I was running really late for an appointment. Yeah, you go through that. Good luck. Everyone goes through that. But eventually the penny drops, everyone, and you realise that it's not good luck. You realise and you come to understanding that this is the floodgates of providence opening. God actually backs his devotees, his followers, his disciples. Doesn't matter what colour you are, what age you are, whether you're young or old, or fat or ugly, or beautiful or whatever. If towards the end, he said it clearly. I love people who teach my work, and I love also people who listen and understand and try and grasp my work. And so he's saying, I've got favourites in amongst people. Not as clearly as I'm putting it, but that's what it means. And he's saying, because they're showing such devotion, such commitment to the truth, I will look after them a little bit more. And everyone does it. Like if your dog comes back when you call it every time, you give it a biscuit. If the kids are doing something good, nice, or help, do the dishes or rake up the leaves in the lawn or something, you say, well, here's an ice cream, or we give people rewards, don't we? With adults, it gets a bit more tricky, but it's still sort of the same sort of principle applies. Well, why wouldn't it apply with the master and his teachings and the disciples? Yeah, it applies equally in all endeavours. It's a different reward. We don't get ice creams or whatever, but it's like you're saying, you feel this deeper contentment and whatnot. See, that quote you referred to, and I'm not going to ramble on here, Jackie, but the truth will set you free. A lot of people have heard that. A lot of people have even repeated it here, there, or everywhere. But hardly anyone ever knows it. Hardly anyone ever knows it. And you've just given a beautiful explanation of how you really started to want to know what that meant. Yeah. So first of all, you've got to look at the word, the truth. Yeah. It says the truth. Well, these days everyone says my truth, your truth, my truth on this and that. It's all rubbish, I could use other words. All they're saying is it's my belief and my opinion and my like and my dislike and my expectation. And I believe it so strongly, I believe it's true. And in actual fact, all of those are totally untrue. So my truth, or the truth, means in Jesus's case, the truth of my teachings. In Krishna's case, it means the truth of my teachings. But when you put them, when you look at them closely, and I have looked at them very closely over the years, you can see that both those truths are identical. They're just using slightly different words, but it's not. Jesus's truth is no different to Krishna's truth, and that's no different to Buddha's truth. They're all the same, but they just say them differently. And if you're interested, well, you can look at them all individually, and it's very beneficial if you do that, because then you'll get continuous input from wherever you look, wherever you turn, whatever you're reading. It's all saying the same thing. Once you understand the basic concept. So he says the truth shall set you free. Well, who's you? You means every human being on the planet, Jackie. 8 billion people. Truth shall set you free. Everyone thinks that they're free, other than people probably in jails. But we're talking about you're not free in the heart. Too much agitation and upset and whatever there often. You're not free in your mind. There's things swirling around left, right and centre. Should I, shouldn't I? All this hesitancy and uncertainty. There's no freedom in that. Okay? So what it basically is saying, what he's saying there, the truth shall set you free, is the truth of my teachings will set you, any human being on the planet, free from your own self-inflicted bondage of your egoic ignorance, which is called Maya, will free you of all of that. And when you're freed of all of that, like Arjuna says at the end, yes, I'm now liberated. I'm listen to your teachings and I'm free. I'm liberated. And at that point, you say, I'm ready to do your will. Yeah. Thy will be done, not my will. So all we're simply saying is, I'm going to now live my life like you well described in that comment that you made, and you made many of them over the course of the 40 weeks. This self-examination is vital for everyone. If you're just learning it and it's just going in there, well, you're like a donkey carrying a load of holy books. I mentioned that in one of the podcasts. That knowledge then has to be applied. All this is spelled out in the 18 chapters, isn't it? And you've got to let go all the stuff that's not true. That's the renunciation or the surrender. You've got to meditate. So a critical part of all of this. You're doing a lot of meditation at the moment. Yeah. That's designed to control the senses and still the mind and the emotions. And then, of course, you've got to devotion, faith, shraddha, have a love for the Lord. And the love for the Lord will eventually get so great, it'll overpower the love for wealth or money or for fame or anything else. They'll all be there, but they just take their rightful order in the pecking order. But you don't have wrong things up on the top. That's what's called false gods. So you put the proper God, truth, up on top, and then all the other gods you can line up underneath them any way you want. Is that all? A very short, quick answer to your
Yeah, that's right.
I've made a practice of making very short answers to when students ask questions, Jackie.
Yes, clearly evident.
So seldom anyone asks any questions. But I've just got to pretend to ask a question and still say something. Anyway, on a more serious note, what else would you like to say? Anything? Or
I think that's all for now. I'll let you keep going because I'm sort of mindful of our time and I'm not quite sure what else you've got in store to share.
Well, nothing. The only, if you've got nothing else to say, I've got nothing else to say. That was a beautiful little bit that you added in there, which I had no idea you were adding in, and just gave me a chance to sort of expound on that profound axiom that the truth shall set you free. But he has ones like don't cast pearl before swine, and he says, as you sow, so you shall reap. Well, you can write books on any of those three, and books have been written on all three. I might contemplate writing some books on those three myself, Jackie.
You're going to have a lot of free time when you're not preparing podcasts every week. So, that could be a new project for 2026.
Yeah, the last couple of weeks, because we did the three jointly there a while back. So other than this one, I hadn't been preparing any for a fortnight, and I'm getting a taste of what life used to be like at the start of
Yeah.
the
Yeah, a little more freedom, a little more
Yeah,
spaciousness.
I had my first walk down the beach yesterday, through the waters. It is beautiful. Bit of a
Very
struggle to get
nice.
up the sand dune, but I made it.
Very good.
All right, Jackie. Well, I'm going to go into thank you modes now.
Perfect.
So time to say thank you and also goodbye. And the thank yous and goodbyes are broken up into two groups. So firstly, Jackie and listeners, I'd like to thank the listeners. All right, I'll put you last, Jackie, because you're the other one I'm going to thank. So to the listeners, if I had gold medals and I could meet you and you're all lined up, I'd shake hands with you all, put a gold medal around your neck. So the first thing I want to say to you all is congratulations to you all for your endeavours. To have continued throughout these 40 podcasts indicates your willingness to learn and to change, and has required enormous courage and commitment on your parts. I was hesitant about that, Jackie, if you remember in the first one or two podcasts. At the finish, I'd start crying and say, I don't think anyone's listening, Jackie. And you'd say, yes, they are, Dad. Yeah, they are. Trust me, believe me. Yeah. So I trusted you and believed you. And then the floodgates of Providence opened, all manner of things flowed my way. And I realised suddenly, yeah, they're all out there and they're listening attentively and they're great people. So to all you great people who listened and lasted 40 weeks, I know from 30 years of teaching experience that if you're still listening now and started at number one, you're very committed and you're very devoted, and you're getting a lot of rewards already, and you'll continue to reap huge more rewards as you continue on in life. So you've done excellent work, which I'm sure is improving your lives and will continue to do so. I wish you all the very best as you travel on your spiritual journey. Now, Jackie, you asked me at the start to give all the listeners a exercise for the week, so I felt obliged to give an exercise even in a concluding.
Of course. I
Could,
would
could,
expect nothing less from you.
couldn't stop myself, Jackie,
Ah.
listeners, and I know you've loved doing them, and I've asked and you've given answers, and I know exactly everything's been going beautifully. So your final exercise for this week. Oh no, not for this week. Your final exercise for the rest of your life, listeners, for the rest of your lives, yes, is to do all that you've been doing in these 40 podcasts. Keep learning, keep practicing, keep meditating, and maybe occasionally, every now and again, you might like to revisit one or two of these podcasts in the years to come. Remember that they can be a great source of revision every now and again. All right. So that's that part done, Jackie. So well done,
Lovely.
everyone out there in listening world and viewing world. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Would have loved to have met you all, but that wasn't to be the case under these sort of circumstances. But I feel I've had a very strong connection. And now, Jackie, we come to you. So many thanks to you, Jackie, on many fronts. Firstly, for dragging me kicking and screaming into this new unknown world of digital world or whatever it's called, which involve headphones and mouses and screens and all sorts of stuff. You and
Clicking
me.
on links. I mean, gee, learning to double click
Oh,
on the
yeah.
Zoom link. My goodness.
Anyway, I started off, as you know, with a sheet of paper where I had step by step, push the button on the side and click the mouse twice and all sorts of stuff. After about 3 or 4 podcasts, I could do it with eyes closed or blindfolded. So anyway, because it was you asking me to do it, and because you're asking me to do it about the Gita, I really had no choice to even think about saying no. So, but I know it took a bit of thinking and planning. You say you don't plan much in that. Well, you had to plan to buy those and you had to plan to give them to me for Christmas. So you knew what you were doing. So there was a bit of planning involved there. All right. So all of that, you helped make it very pain-free for me after a few sessions. Secondly, for setting such a challenge. I said to you at the start that that was a big challenge you were setting me. One that I hadn't been set before or faced with before. Like I've taught the Gita on a number of occasions, but not in the way we're doing it this time, in making such a detailed summary of it, which I found very challenging and a little bit difficult at times. Or not difficult, but time-wise, it took a time. But putting that entire teaching into 40 podcasts, as we've done, help made it like beneficial for me in that by doing that, Jackie, I had to focus on the real nitty gritty and let go all the periphery and all those other thousands of words that are all there to help anyone, because you couldn't do it just through even this little book that I've got here that's got just the 700 verses in it. No one could read that. No one could read that, Jackie, on the planet and on their own and fully understand it. It'd be like trying to read 700 lines of "The truth shall set you free." Everything would be so deep and meaningful. But so in doing that, I got a lot out of it. I learned the Gita much more intimately, if that's a word that could be sort of used there, much more precisely, much more condensed, if you're understanding. I'm sure you are. So thirdly, by giving me this opportunity to do these podcasts, it also gave me an opportunity, I think, for greater numbers to hear some of these great teachings that I otherwise wouldn't have had the opportunity to do. And I feel very strongly that my role in life these days is to pass on the teachings of the great masters. And so I can do that in small groups that come to the sessions and that, here and there individually if I meet someone and they seem a bit interested, have a bit of a discussion. But this was in a whole new world to open the teaching up to a greater number of people. So thank you also for that opportunity. And then finally, I'd like to thank you for being such a patient, charming, witty, knowledgeable, happy, delightful co-producer in these four podcasts. People might be saying, "Oh, that's just Dad talking to his daughter." No. It's a podcast that are talking to another podcast that just happens to be my daughter. And I've been delighted, Jackie, personally, to see the growth and the development, well, in both of us in a sense, but this is about you, in these podcasts. So as we've gone in, it became that, and many people have said to me, and they've also indicated to you, because you've shared a few of those acknowledgements, how they're loving to seeing us work together, and how you're having more input and you're bringing a sort of a more personal aspect to it, whereas I'm doing, my job's to give like the teaching aspect, and between the two, they marry up beautifully. So I feel you've done that beautifully, and it's a full credit to you. And I think because of that, we've been a successful team. We've achieved what we set out to achieve, which was to present in 40 podcasts a summary of the teachings of the great master, Krishna. And so much love to you, many thanks to you, and best wishes to you, Jackie, my darling daughter.
Oh.
All right, there it is, everyone. We're father and daughter. I love you dearly. I love all the listeners. I love God. I love the truth. It's all love.
Yeah, beautiful. Goodness, we might need the tissues. I can feel a tear brewing in my eye.
Oh, well, that's all good.
Well, thank you for...
I'm done and dusted, everyone. Thank you all very much. Have a nice Christmas. Best wishes for the rest of your journeys. You as well, Jackie, on your journey, but I'll obviously be seeing a bit more of you over the years to come.
Yes, yeah. Well, thank you. I mean, a beautiful wrap up, and agree with those sentiments entirely. Like, it's been so lovely to get to know some of the listening audience. Like, a lot of you, I think, are students of Michael. Some of you are students of mine, and I think we've picked up a few along the way. Maybe they're referrals of friends and relatives and whatever else. But it's been really lovely. I think as the listening audience, you'll see we have a lot of joy in preparing and presenting these. And Michael, we just have to acknowledge, like, an enormous amount amount of time you've spent putting into your material. I mean, I think it's clearly evident to everybody, but perhaps because I am your daughter and we do speak, you know, in the lead up to each episode, I know how much work has gone in. So thank you for putting aside. I mean, I know it's your passion, your love and your enthusiasm, but still thank you for doing all of the preparations and foraying into this online world. You know, we had spinning circles and Zoom links that wouldn't connect in the beginning and mice that wouldn't double click and sound that wouldn't amplify enough and all sorts of things. Like, we've really made enormous progress on many, many levels. So it's been a really useful and interesting journey, and just so glad that we can share it with all of you as the listening audience. So I think really, yeah, from my perspective, that's all. Like, clearly from here, I'm glad this is wrapping up now. Like, as you know, I've got my own personal big journey dealing with this breast cancer diagnosis, and I've just recently found out days ago I'm going to have a double mastectomy in a few 2 weeks. So I've got my own big changes happening. All I can say is that I just continue to draw on these teachings as reassurance. My yoga practice and meditation practice and breathwork practice is just a non-negotiable. It's absolutely what sustains me. I know from firsthand experience, not just now, but at other times in life where life has gone up and down, that these practices make a lot of difference. They might not fix everything. They might still, you know, allow for some pain and unease and discomfort and uncertainty to remain. But, you know, they do more than take the edge off. And if all they did was take the edge off, well, that's enormously helpful. But, you know, I know these practices can be so deeply beneficial. So I just encourage you, as someone personally going through my own deep uncertainty for the future, like I know these practices are deep and beneficial. So I encourage you heartily, you know, keep up things like yoga, meditation, reading inspirational works, and practice them regularly, practice them with love, practice with the aim of sharing what you know with the people who are interested to listen, or just share the love and the joy and the upliftment that you get from practices or from particular works. You know, share the joy of that with everyone around you. I think this is how we make a better world, and better families, better work environments, just better places. It's just everybody contributing their goodness and their upliftment, and that makes a big difference to the totality. So be encouraged on your personal journeys. All right. Well, thank you so much, Michael. Thank you, everybody who's participated. It's been our great joy to share with you in this format, and you know, we'll potentially see each other somewhere along this track of life. Yeah.
Bye, everyone. Well said, Jackie. Well said.
See you later. Bye for now.